So we know that a circadian rhythm is a rhythm that is 24 hours in length, or about 24 hours in length. So what we have to ask ourselves is, when we look at something like the sleep-wake cycle, why is that cycle 24 hours long? Why can't it be any other length of time? There are a few debates about this, but first thing we have to do is look at the biology of the sleep-wake cycle. Now what we start off with is this idea that during the day it's light. Even if it's overcast, there's still a lot of light in the sky. We also deal with artificial light. And what light is, for our purpose anyway, is what we call an exogenous Zeitgeber. It's exogenous because it's outside. That is, outside of our biological system, outside of our brain. So anything that is exo is outside. So exit comes from exo. Exoskeletons are on the outside rather than on the inside. So what's happening here is that light, this exogenous Zeitgeber, is entering our eyes here. Now there's a few mechanisms involved here in the brain. And one of them is this thing here. It's called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. But for simplicity's sake, we'll just call it the SCN. So this is this green blob here. And it lies between the eyes at the front of the brain. So light is entering here and it's being picked up by this suprachiasmatic nucleus. Now, the suprachiasmatic nucleus is something we call the endogenous pacemaker, or it's our internal body clock. It's the system that decides what time of the day it is and what our brain has to do at that particular time, what our body or what our biological system has to do at that point in time. So endo means inside. So an endoskeleton is what we have. It's a skeleton inside our body, whereas crabs, for example, have an exoskeleton. So that's one way to try and remember it. There are more mechanisms involved here, and this comes in the shape of what we call the pineal gland. Now, the pineal gland is behind the SCN, so it's this red blob here. What this does, it releases a hormone, so all glands release a hormone. So it releases a hormone, and this hormone is called melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone that makes us feel sleepy. So at about 6 o'clock in the evening, our pineal gland will begin to release this hormone called melatonin. And it's doing that as a result of this pathway between the SCN and the pineal gland. Let's have a look at this from a slightly different point of view. So this is looking down on the brain. Here's the nose here, the eyes are here, and here we have the SCN, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, this black blob here. So it's connected to the optic nerves by these very tiny branches here, one there and one there. This is the optic nerve here. And that's the other optic nerve there. What's happening is the light is entering the eyes, it is being picked up by the SCN here. It is then being transferred to the pineal gland here, which is linked to the SCN by neural pathways. So light signals are interpreted by the suprachiasmatic nucleus, and these signals are then sent to the pineal gland. Pineal gland, so that's stage one. The pineal gland then releases hormones, particularly the hormone melatonin, and these affect our sleep-wake cycle. What light is doing, it helps in the synchronization of the clock and represents the external cue needed to rest the clock. So our brains know when it's time to go to sleep.